a slide of pharynx and larynx. So we come back here. So this back here, that would be the laryngopharynx. This is the laryngopharynx that we're looking at back here. That's the laryngopharynx. And there we see so this would be the inferior constrictor, the cricopharyngeus, thyropharyngeus. That would be the inferior constrictor right here. And if you're looking at those fibers in the two, just encircling it, so I would think that this maybe is the very lowermost part. Maybe this is the cricopharyngeus muscle right here. So that's buccopharyngeal fascia, the outermost covering. And there we see the glands. Okay. Notice there is no muscularis mucosae at all. No muscularis mucosae. In the classical case, we see the glands more insinuating themselves between the muscular fibers. In this case, not so. Alright? And notice the epithelium right here, stratified squamous epithelium. Okay? So another slide of the pharynx. Okay? Here we get now trachea and esophagus together. This is a slide of trachea and esophagus. And then we want to look and see if we can find the three parts of the esophagus, upper, middle, and lower third of the esophagus. Okay. Now what I see here immediately is that the muscularis mucosae is not a complete layer, but the muscularis mucosae is just broken up into little pieces. Okay? That's the muscularis mucosae right here. Alright? Alright? So there we can see the muscularis, which is always smooth muscle. Muscularis mucosae is always smooth muscle. And there we can see not one continuous layer at all, but just broken up into little bundles of smooth muscle. Alright. When I look out here, what am I seeing? That the outermost layer is purely what? Skeletal. Alright? And in the upper third of the esophagus, the muscularis externa is what? Purely skeletal. In the middle third, mixture of skeletal and smooth. And in the lower third, purely smooth muscle. So what we're doing is we've just left the pharynx. This is a beautiful slide of the esophagus. We've left the pharynx. According to the histologist, pharyngobacillar fascia is now going to be replaced by the muscularis mucosae, and this is what we see at the commencement of the esophagus, that the muscularis mucosae is just broken up into little bundles. Not one continuous layer going around, but just broken up into little bundles. And there we see the stratified squamous epithelium of the esophagus. So outermost layer. Okay, and there we're moving now into the trachea. Okay, so this is a slide of both trachea and esophagus. There's a trachea right over here, and right between this, that's the esophagus right here. Alright, so quite a nice slide of trachea and esophagus together. Alright, now look at this, this is quite interesting. This is quite interesting. Right at the junction of the trachea and the esophagus, what are we seeing? Very good, that's hot. That's the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Alright. So there we can see the recurrent laryngeal nerve, which is traveling in what? The tracheoesophageal groove. Together with what? The inferior laryngeal vessels. Alright, so we can put a little of the gross anatomy and the histology together here. So that's a beautiful slide. I didn't see it before on this slide. Just seeing it now of the right between the trachea right here and the esophagus right over here. What are we seeing? An artery, a vein, and a nerve. Alright? So recurrent laryngeal nerve with the seems to be the inferior laryngeal vessel. Alright? Very nice slide. When we get into the esophagus, remember the outermost layer is just going to be what? Just connective tissue, loose connective tissue. That's the adventitia. And then we see the longitudinal layer, powerful longitudinal layer, all formed by skeletal muscle. This is all skeletal muscle right here. Prismatic in cross section with the nuclei at the periphery. Alright? And there we see the nuclei right here at the periphery. So that for sure is the upper third of the esophagus. Deep to this is another layer, and this is a circular muscular layer right here. This is circular muscular layer. Alright? And deep to this, there we see now the submucosa. And then now we are getting into the mucosa right here. And these little bundles of smooth muscle, this is just the commencement of the muscularis mucosae. Now, we may encounter some submucosal glands in this region. We're not seeing here, but we may encounter some submucosal glands around here. Just at the very, very, very commencement. In the lamina propria, the upper and lower end, especially at the lower end, there may be also some esophageal glands. Right? So this is a very nice example of the upper third of the esophagus. Now let's see if I have any slides. I think Sean,